Hi, CMattDye here. Hopefully you're having a great day. And I wanted to start a new DeFi segment on the channel. I want to do that. I get a lot of questions about DeFi. I know a lot about it. I don't know everything. I don't claim to. But I want to do a weekly DeFi segment to kind of highlight what's going on in the industry and talk about a few things. I've heard some things on YouTube, some of them true, some of them not. So I'm here to give you a little bit of information. And because this is going to be the first segment, I want to talk about what DeFi really is. So the word DeFi stands for Decentralized Finance. And really, to make a long story short, when you go to your bank and you get a loan or something like that, that's centralized finance. Decentralized finance is anything that you do at an entity that isn't set in one particular location. So going to any cryptocurrency area and investing money or something like that, that's why they call it decentralized finance. Now let's talk about yield farming. So yield farming, I'm not a very good speller, so I'm just going to say YF. Well, not speller, but my writing is hideous. I write like a 5-year-old. So let's say you have token A and token B, and that is what yield farming is currently. You put in two tokens and they have to balance. So let's say you have 100 of token A, 100 of token B, and they're worth the same amount. Let's say they're both worth $1. So that's $100 on A, $100 on B, they balance. But then what happens if B goes up way more than A? So let's say A is here, but B is way up here, right? So they don't balance. So you still have 100 of A at $1, so $100, but then B is up at $2, so that's $200 up there. Well, what you have to do is it automatically will sell some of B into A so that the equation balances again. So again, it's over here. So that's what yield farming is, and that's what they talk about of impermanent loss. So let's say you had token B and you just held it and it goes up to $2. Well, you just made $100 because you had 100 of their tokens. They go up $1, you made $100. But if you're yield farming, it's going to sell token B to equal token A. You're going to have more of whatever token is worth the least. So that's yield farming, and that's what they talk about in permanent loss. Well, yield farming, the whole idea is you're getting enough interest where impermanent loss doesn't matter. It's not even a real thing. Also, usually you like both tokens. If you're a hardcore yield farmer, you don't care what token it is. You just go where the yield is. For example, right now there are 3 legitimate DEXs on Cardano. I know there's more, but in my opinion, there's 3 legitimate ones. So you have SunnySwap is the big one. SunnySwap was the first one. Then you have MinSwap, and then you have Wing Riders. So what I did, my strategy, I put some tokens in SunnySwap when it came out, took it to the first month, I got out of it, and I sold all my SunnySwap. Then I went into MinSwap next. I invested in there for the first month, took everything out, sold all my MinSwap. Why did I do that? Well, because we're in a bear market. So I took out my Sunday, I sold it around 65, 75 cents, whatever it was, and now it's down to 14 cents. MinSwap, same thing. I put it in, I sold around 21, 22 cents, and I think now it's 13, 16 cents, whatever. That's why. If we were not in a bear market, I would invest. I would have still pulled it out, but I would have kept that particular token. I'm not investing in Wing Riders. I think they're good, and I wanted to invest, but they're not given a lot of details. So we don't know we don't even know when the token is going to be generated. We don't know when the token genesis event is. But anyway, I want to talk about that a little bit. Those are the 3 DEXs that I think are the only ones to mess with now. We have some really good ones coming up. Maladex is one. Wi-Fi is coming out with one. Genesis Yield coming out. And also I wanted to talk about Wi-Fi and Genius Yield are actually partnering. And if I go over here and I pull up the announcement today at 12:40 p.m. Right now is 8:10 p.m. This is obviously my time. So, many hours ago, they announced their partnership with Genius Yield. I was talking to Steven and he kind of alluded a little bit and I kind of guessed, and shortly afterwards this was announced. So very cool. Genius Yield and Wi-Fi are both going to partner, and they do similar things. And today's earlier conversation was talking about Genius Yield and them, and they were both at a conference, and are they going to compete with each other? It's not one-to-one competition. They're both a little different, but them partnering is really big, I think. I think it's really big for Cardano. It's really big for Genius Yield, because Steven, the co-founder of Wi-Fi, used to work at a hedge fund. He knows how it works, and that's what he's implementing for Wi-Fi. Well, Genius Yield has some really smart people, and they're working on something similar. So them combining powers really, just makes Genius Yield and Wi-Fi look even better. And it's going to be harder for other DEXs to compete. If you look at DeFi Llama over here, we can see SunnySwap used to be number one. Then MinSwap came out, and now MinSwap is number one. Wing Riders came out, and they're already over SunnySwap. And that's usually how it goes. People chase yield. If we go to MinSwap, do I go to farms? You can see the yield over here. If you go to SunnySwap, theoretically, yeah, the yield. So Sunday pays you 71%, which is terrible. What else pays you? Card Starter, 71%. World Mobile, 71%. And Liquid, 71%. Liquid was the one I went into when I was farming, and it was around 300%. I pulled out once it got towards lower 200s, I want to say. MinSwap, I was in it and I pulled out around 150, I want to say. And a good rule of thumb for me is I love to yield farm when it's over 300%, but you don't get that all the time. When it is below 100%, I start to get concerned. And when it is below 50, which this is dangerously close, I don't want to be there. Like ADA Wi-Fi right now is 49.58%. It was higher before, and then people did pull out because I don't want to say people who are investing in Wi-Fi are smarter. That's just a strategy that most of us had because we were talking to each other. But that is my strategy, and that's what I like to do. I jump around. I'm not going to stay in for a long amount of time. However, when the larger DEXs do come out, Wi-Fi, Genius Yield, Maladex, when Liquid comes out, I think those are ones you could stick with long term and be very happy with. So that's what I'm looking at. With DeFi Llama, SunnySwap came out. They kind of rushed things a little bit. I think they're good people at SunnySwap, and I've spoken to them. They kind of rushed things a little bit, and the community kind of saw that. MinSwap came out. Now Wing Riders came out. With Wing Riders, they actually changed things. So if you yield farm, if you have over 1,000 ADA right now in the yield farm, so between MinSwap ADA, Wi-Fi ADA, Liquid ADA, whatever pair you have, if that equals 1,000 ADA or more, that gets put into a stake pool. So you're actually getting staking rewards, and you're getting yield farm, and you're getting Wing Rider tokens. So that's what Wing Riders is doing. Liquid is doing like a 4x type of deal. Genius is doing even a step above that. So with Genius Yield, let me go back to my whiteboard over here. Let's undo all of this. All right, so let's say you're staking a token, and the token can go, let's say $3 or above, and then you have 1 or below, and this is an ADA. So I know I said dollar, I meant ADA. So 3 ADA or above, or 1 ADA or below. So let's say you're like, okay, well, I want to yield farm, but I don't want to be subjected to massive and permanent loss, right? So I will yield farm between 220 ADA and 150 ADA. Well, if you're only yield farming between those two numbers, you're going to get a higher yield. Wish I could write faster with this mouse, but I'm pretty bad. You're going to get a higher yield than if you were just, I want to yield farm, and I'll take any of it. I'll take any of it, because you're providing a lot of liquidity in a small amount of area. So that's one thing of Genius Yield. You can also do actual limit orders, and I believe ViFi will probably do the same thing. I think Maladex will do the same thing. Liquid is more of a loaning platform, but it's going to be similar in a sense. But Liquid is more of a loaning platform, just like ADA Finance or AADA Finance, however you want to say, AADA. That's a lending platform. But all of these, you're going to be able to pick your exact entry. Whereas MinSwap, if you want to swap something in MinSwap, you just say you want to swap it. SunnySwap is the same way. So if I go here and I go to trade, and I select a token, and I'll just do MinSwap, right? I'm going to do 200 ADA, which gives me 1,602. But I have to go up here and pick a slippage tolerance. So that's this one, and SunnySwap. I literally haven't even looked at Wing Riders.